Welcome back to the latest edition of the Putt Podcast. I'm Justin Baxley, joined by AJ Sheridan.
It's Players Week. It's Players Week. You see the island green behind us. I say it almost every week when we're on the Florida swing. It's my favorite week of the year. But this one is special because you got March Madness kicking off here soon. This week, of course, is tournament championship weekends. So college basketball is in the full swing of things. And then this is kind of the real start of the PGA Tour season. The big debate about fifth major, not fifth major. We don't have to get into that. We can get into that because it seems to be the big debate this year. The PGA Tour loves to bring it back every few years to get that debate going. And it's like, no, let's enjoy the Players for what it is because it is unique. It is a course that has held up the test of time. That island green is so special, and it's created so many iconic memories from Rory's playoff win last year to Ricky Fowler's playoff win years ago. The Players is not the fifth major, but it is the Players for a reason. We made it.
I mean, we call it the best field in golf. Or one of the best, if not the best field in golf. It's a situation where, frankly, AJ, some of my favorite memories are watching this golf tournament. It's a golf tournament that it's unlike any other. And I think 17 gets a ton of the publicity, and rightfully so. I was having this debate last night with my buddies what would you consider, like, if you were to go play the 17th green at Sawgrass, what would be your, goal score, or the score that if you walked out of there, would you be happy with?
Whoa, can we get into that for a second? What did you say to that?
Yeah, so I went with, I said I'd take my because there's a joke that I use my 3-wood even
on par threes.
Even on par threes. But, it's a sweet swing, and I just, I know how to feather it down there. And I said I would hit it, probably stick it to about 10 feet, let it roll back to the hole, and then I'd nicely go up there and I'd tap it in for my 9. And I'd walk home thrilled that I had finally figured out a way to get on that green. But no, I think that maybe I think that depending on where the pin location is and everything.
Sunday pin location, far right.
Far right. We were talking about the front one.
Front left to the hole-in-one one?
Yeah. So I was thinking that one, I'd probably be so thrilled if I could just get a bogey. And I think pretty much anywhere on the green, I'm happy with a bogey.
And then 3-putt from there.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Just let me hit it my first time, and I'm happy, and then 3-putt from there, I'll take the bogey.
And I'm good with that. Yeah, so I agree with you.
I think my wedge game is one of the better parts of my game, so I like to think I could hit it in 1, but I know I'm most likely not going to. You watch the tour players do this. Obviously, it depends on the wind and everything, but it's not a long par 3. It's a simple wedge shot. I think my problem is getting the spin on the ball because it is a lot harder. You can hit the green, but it's holding the green that is the test, and I think we see a lot of balls this week that'll hit the green, but will they hold the green, and that is the key.
Yeah, well, so I'll tell a quick story is that and the reason they mess with me about my 3-wood is we had a golf tournament up in Georgia where I'm from, and it's a downhill 125, 130, and
took the club cover off.
I brought out the 3-wood. There was a group behind us. We were playing in a scramble. It was a tournament, and I hear the group behind me giggling, actively laughing at me.
I would be doing the same.
And my 3-wood, and I went up there. I high teed the ball.
You high tee your 3-wood?
And then I swung
every time
on this particular for certain shots.
Okay.
And so then I hit it, and it dropped about, I want to say front edge of the green, maybe right before the green, and it rolled on. It landed at 12 feet away from the hole. I won the closest to the pin competition that day
with the 3-wood
in a free round of golf. And I want to tell you that the minute that ball hit the green and rolled towards the hole, that group behind me didn't say a word.
Did you make the birdie putt? That's all I've been thinking. It was a scramble. So did the team make the birdie putt? I sure hope so. All right, we'll move on from that. But my dad's the same way. Me and my brothers, because we know him and it's our dad, so we make fun of him a little bit for hitting his driver on the par 3s or the 3-woods on the par 3s where we're hitting our long irons and stuff. But yeah, you can't shame anyone for what they want to hit. The golf is such a unique game. Look at Scottie Scheffler's swing. Anyone can do anything in this game.
Yeah, AJ, it's about playing your swing, right? And there are things you can do. I know, so I can hit my 7-iron that same distance, and it probably wouldn't be a bad shot. I could probably even pull pitching wedge on, say, these 100-yard ones, right?
But you're not winning closest to the pin in a free round of golf, I'll tell you that.
I may, but I know I can hit the 3-wood.
The high tee. I haven't heard of the high tee, but I mean, I've heard of it. I've never actually really seen it in use before.
When we go out and play, I mean, we got to play soon. When we go out and play, I'll do that especially for you, and then I'll hit my regular tee shot.
So, all right. So, do you think anyone pulls that move out on 17 this week at the Players?
Absolutely not. Not a chance, AJ.
It should be a fun week, though, this week. Obviously, that hole, you said it gets a lot of the publicity, and again, rightfully so, just like you said. But the whole final 3-hole stretch from 16, the par 5. When I think of this course, I think of Ricky Fowler's run, obviously, years ago, just because he's the reason I like golf. But that whole stretch has so much doom and gloom to it. You look at Ricky's, and he got the bounce on 16, eagle, birdie, and then 18. If you have a one-stroke lead on 18, you're tied on 18. That tee shot, I went to the Players on a practice round a few years ago, and the TV doesn't do 18 justice. It makes it look kind of like a normal tee shot with just water up the left-hand side, but no. And you see a lot of players bail out to the right. The right rough, the right pine straw is not an easy punch to get up to that green. The 18th hole, I think, is so fascinating because you often see people take their foot off the gas a little bit. Whew, we made it past 17. But no, 18 better have the players coming down the stretch full attention because I think it is where the tournament will be won and lost this week. We've seen playoffs just a year ago. Wouldn't surprise me again if we have another stacked leaderboard late on a Sunday afternoon, and 18 is the difference this weekend.
Yeah, I can see that. Look, I also think it's why the best players in the world have been the one winning this tournament recently. So, like, if you go back and look at the history of this tournament, you've got some guys like Tim Clark.
Siwoo wasn't a big name.
I was going to say Siwoo wasn't necessarily a big name. Like, there's some of those, like, low-key names that have won this tournament. But you look at the last, I want to say 6 years. So you've got Rory twice.
Scottie twice. Scottie twice, the only man to go back-to-back.
Okay, so Scottie twice.
Rory
last year.
My phone. There we go. I'm finally getting the service. Here we go. We got Rory last year, Scottie the 2 years before that, and then Cam Smith before Liv, and then Justin Thomas. So, yeah. And that was Justin Thomas.
And Rory
in his
was
prime.
2019. Okay. So,
yes.
So, Rory, Justin Thomas, Cam Smith, Scheffler, Rory.
Best of the best.
Well, and, like, people will say, well, Cam Smith the last year wasn't. AJ, at the time.
That was in his prime.
That was 2022. That was the Cam Smith that we grown accustomed to, and he went out and won a major right after. And so, like, the thought that this is, if you go back further, you start getting into some interesting names. I think House Sutton. This is the be the right club today moment. So, like, you've got
and
some
you could
guys
even say
on
Ricky
there.
Fowler isn't, but at
that time he
was competing. The thing is, he wasn't winning a lot though. But that's what this course gives is good finishes.
You throw us Webb Simpson.
Who again? I would put him kind of in that Siwoo category of, if you're turning on the players because it's the players and you want to watch people hit in the water, you're not going to know Siwoo Kim or you're not going to know Webb Simpson. But if you're watching golf week in and week out, or just even the Arnold Palmers and the bigger tournaments, okay, maybe you don't watch a Cognizant, but you're watching the bigger tournaments like the API. I guess now they have a name called the Signature Events, which they never had a name growing up. You know who a Siwoo Kim is or who a Webb Simpson, and it's very rare you're getting a guy like a Joey Highsmith who won the Cognizant a year ago, or Nico Echeverria has been a bigger name on the PGA Tour, but you're not getting those type of guys that are winning the Cognizants or the Puerto Rico Opens. Hopefully, Ricky Castillo, I don't know what happened there, can make some noise this week. But, yeah, you're getting the best of the best at the top of the leaderboard on Sunday.
You go back. You got to go all the way back to 2010 where you got Tim Clark and then KJ Choi back-to-back. And then Matt Kuchar is an interesting one because, like, he had a solid career and he's a household name. But, like, even him is not, like, I wouldn't throw him necessarily in that same tier as, you're certainly not putting him with Rory and Scottie. And then Tiger won, but then it's Martin Keimer and then Ricky Fowler.
Martin Keimer's a very underrated name.
He's underrated.
You missed Jason Day's
I was
there.
getting to him. He's next. Okay. Jason Day and then Siwoo, and then Webb. And then you go on that run, though, from 19 to 25. And even 2020, it was Hideki Matsuyama in the one round that they got. He shot a 63, AJ.
That was the one. I was going to say the 2020, that was a weird time because it's right, of course, in the start of COVID. And, the NCAA tournament and the players were both shut down. Wow, that's weird times to think about now, but a name you just mentioned, Hideki Matsuyama, I know you're big on him this week. Kind of, who else are you keeping an eye out this week at TPC Sawgrass? I know I got my list of Names that I love this week. I told you on, what was it, on Monday we posted our recap video from last week yesterday. And I told you I got some guys that I love this week. But I want to hear your list and see if any of ours are the same.
Yeah, so look, my number one guy this week, truthfully, is Collin Morikawa. This may sound crazy. I think he might be playing the best golf of anybody in this field right now. He's also finished top 15 here twice in the last 3 years. He won at Pebble already, so you know that he's riding a pretty high confidence right now.
And he talked about that.
Look, he's finished in the top 10, I think 3 straight weeks in addition to that win. So I just think I think you got to go with him. I love Collin Morikawa this week. He might be my winner pick. If we're going with the favorite.
He was my winner pick out of the favorites. And just in general, which I kind of don't love because a lot of people are talking about him being maybe like the name that's going to do it this week. If it's not Scottie, of course. I think Scottie's still the guy to go out there and you got to beat him. But Collin talked about earlier in the week at his pressers just how confident he is feeling and what confidence can do for you in a golf game, and how him and Victor Hovland maybe share some confidence traits that are the same, and that's he's been able to parlay his confidence into some wins and good finishes this year. Collin Morikawa has. I'll give you some names that I will probably dabble on this week for a top 10 finish, and it's 3 names. The biggest name out of them, Xander Schauffele. I think he's rounding into form. We're kind of getting back to that 2023 Xander Schauffele where he won 2 majors. And then Cam Young is playing some good golf right now. He's putting the ball well on the Florida greens. And then a name that I think I know that you like this week too, and I love him this week for a top 10. If you look at his numbers around this place and the previous results at this place, yeah, we can go ahead and kill the lights now because we're taking a nap, Mr. Jake Knapp, silky smooth.
That dude might have the best swing on tour right now. Just from a pure, watching that dude swing a golf club, there may not be anybody more pure and more fun to watch. I'm a big fan of Jake Knapp this week. You know, that would be I don't know if I want to call him a dark horse, but yeah, especially after he withdrew from the API right before last week. I want to say it was an undisclosed illness, whatever that means. He finished T12 here last year. If not for the illness last week, we may be talking that he gets rested. He gets a chance to. I know he probably would have rather played the API.
I heard he gets arrested. Arrested. I was like, wait, he's gonna pull a Scottie Scheffler this week.
No, Scottie. Hopefully, but no, I think I like Jake. I'll tell you, I'm big on Russell Henley this week.
Okay.
He hasn't finished top 10 here yet, but he's finished around there, top 13 or so.
Do you have his finish from last week? Because he had a good weekend.
Sixth,
he got himself into the top 10 last weekend, playing good golf.
Yeah, he was in his return to Bay Hill trying to defend that championship. He still finished top 10. He's been a kind of a machine there, though, or in general on the tour. He's finished top 10 7 times since last summer. Another 5 top 20s. He's just a consistent play, and I like him. You know, you talked about who would I go with for my top 20s and my top 10s. It might be Russell Henley. And then a guy that could be very interesting here, Tommy Fleetwood. I feel like we say him quite often. I like him a lot. And then the last one I'll give you, Min Woo Lee. I love his ability to drive the golf ball. And he has the ability to get on these crazy runs. And he's coming in off of a T2, a T12, and a T6.
And he's played well at this course
He's second in tour and all around right now. And yeah, he's got 2 top 20 finishes in the last 3 years.
And that's kind of when he's broke onto the scene. His first year when I saw him in person at the Honda, before anyone knew who he was, before it was Let Him Cook. That was his breakout year at the Players was that year. I believe it was him and Scottie were going at it into the weekend. Yeah, a guy that I kind of like who's, you never know, but I'm going to throw a little flyer out there. Forget top 10, maybe top 20s, Jordan Spieth. Just a guy, he seems to be playing good golf this year. He keeps saying that he's so close that he could feel almost being back. And, man, if he gets back to half as good as he was when he went on that Jordan Spieth year, this could maybe be a tournament to unlock him. We saw last year in the playoff, J.J. Spawn just came up short, but it unlocked him to go on and win the U.S. Open. So I hope it can do the same for Jordan Spieth, or maybe even a guy like Ricky Fowler, who I will mention again for the 5th time if you were betting the over-under on how many times I mention him.
Yeah.
But no matter what, I think this tournament will be a fun one this weekend, and I am ready to sit on my couch and rot as I watch it.
Definitely ready for that as well. A couple other names to throw at you: Corey Connors, Shane Lowry, I think are two to watch.
I like Corey.
Corey Connors is really good at this golf course in particular. But the other big storyline that we've got to keep an eye on has got to be Rory McIlroy. He's the defending champ, and he withdrew last week with the back injury. Came out on Monday and said something along the lines of, "The back's not cooperating quite like I want it to. We'll check in on Wednesday."
He said he's going up. He said he's heading up on Wednesday.
Try to go up on Wednesday, I think is what he said.
I don't think he's playing.
I'm wondering if he's not going to play, AJ.
He's not playing. I just don't think he is. I think he cares more about his title defense in next month than he does the one this weekend. Rightfully so.
I think you're right. I think if you had to get him ready for a tournament, I think you'd rather be ready for the Masters than be ready for the Players. And so if the back really is giving him enough trouble that like he thinks that he could potentially mess it up to the point of having to have a back surgery, especially knowing that he's playing as good as he ever has, not necessarily right now, but like in the last year or two, a back surgery could mean a lot of bad things for a guy like Rory. We saw that happen with Tiger on multiple occasions. And I just think that if he's smart, and of course I'm going to say this, and then the guy's probably going to come out and play, and then he's probably going to win the whole dang tournament because that's just Rory for you, right? Like, but I'll leave you on the last.
He's not getting any younger though. Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. He is playing some of the best golf, but he's made a career on always being healthy and always being fit. He's not getting any younger. An injury like this, I don't think there's any reason to it this week. Again, with the Masters coming up, the back's not something you mess with. This tournament, yes, he's defending this one too. He loves this tournament. He loves Ponte Vedra. He's talked about it. He wants to be there. Don't get me wrong, but he's flying up on Wednesday. Sure, Harry Diamond's already there getting a read for the course and everything and any changes that they made. There's no point to push this. Let's also not forget TGL playoffs start tonight too, so maybe that has a little impact on why he's staying home too. His Boston Commons team.
Yeah, that's funny. No, I think you're right. I think I would probably, if I were his advisors, I'd probably be telling him, chill out this week. You've done what you need to do. Wait for Augusta, but you also got to think about he wants to win majors. That's the interesting thing.
Fifth major.
The fifth major, right? It's an interesting thing, though, AJ, is that the top of the line guys, they're not defined by winning, even the API or
watch your mouth.
The the Hilton Head, the RBCs. They're not defined by those tournaments. They're not. I mean, Tiger won at Bay Hill like 8 times. They're not defined by that, though. What they're defined by, truthfully, is the majors.
And this one.
And that's what I was going to ask you. So, because they are defined by the majors, and then we'll throw in the player, like, should the players be the fifth major? I know you said earlier you didn't love that, but
let me ask you a question back, because I gave my thoughts on that earlier. And yes, it has a major feel for it. If they were to go ahead and make it the fifth major, I don't hope they count someone who won this event. Let's say Ricky Fowler. He doesn't now have a major. You can't go back and add majors. That's my one takeaway on it. But do players care more about winning this tournament or winning the Tour Championship? And that's kind of the debate I've been trying to have, because the Tour Championship proves a full good season. This is one good weekend, of course.
Does it, though?
It didn't really. Fleetwood picked up his first ever win. Yes, he was consistent all year, but would you rather win? I'm asking you now. Not necessarily what the players think. Would you rather win the Tour Championship or the Players?
The Players. I don't think it's close.
So at that point, it kind of is a major.
Well, here's the other thing. They goofed on the Tour Championship, though. Like, that format is terrible. Like, objectively speaking.
I like the staggered start idea back in the day.
The 10-8. Yeah. I mean, I like that better than what they did this year or this past year, because I don't think that you can say it's the season-long race for the FedEx Cup and then have a guy who hasn't won it on tour except for this event in a limited field of 30 people. I don't know how you can sit there and explain to me that this is somehow a test of what it is all season long. It just doesn't feel that way. So if you ask me to pick between those two tournaments, I'm picking winning at the iconic 16, 17, and 18 over winning at a great course at East Lake. I'm still taking the Players' Championship as that. And so if you're asking me, does that mean I think it should be a major? I don't know, because I don't love, like, I'm with you on that. I don't love the idea of now all of a sudden KJ Choi and Tim Clark just become major champions.
And I think it was Dan Rappaport talked about it. That's you can't go back and make it, because what makes a major special, which the Players has the same pressure too, which is why I kind of hesitate to really say this, even though I hesitate to fully buy into it, is having the pressure coming down the stretch, knowing it's a major is what makes a major a major. But the Players has the same pressure. But you're trying to win the Players. You're not trying to win a major. You're trying to win the Players. As much as you want to say it is a major, it's the Players. It's its own entity, and it should remain its own thing because it's in Jacksonville, which is the home of the PGA. Like, it belongs what it is, and don't change it. But then the PGA goes and says March is going to be major. Like, the PGA brings it up every few years. Sorry, I've been watching too much live from this week on Golf Channel.
Look, I'm not against them making it a fifth major, but I'm with Dan Rappaport on that. It is different whether we like it or not. Trying to win a major is hard. Not saying that trying to win at the Players isn't hard, but there's an added layer of pressure when you're talking about a major. I also like to think that a guy like Tiger Woods, who hasn't historically been the best at the Players' Championship. I mean, I know he won it probably 2 times. Is that right? I think he won it in 2001, and then he came back and won it again in 2013. But it wasn't like he was Superman at this course, right?
But that's what makes this event special, again, like a major. The only major you have at the same course year in and year out is the Masters. Yeah. Where do you really want this to kind of be the second one that's like that? No, you leave this, let it be its own thing. You let the majors rotate because it's a different test every single year, and that's what makes the majors fun, is this course has withstood the test of time and can still bring you the great moments year in and year out and still gets everyone excited. That there's no reason to make it the majors. Make this week its own week, and I think they do a great job at that. Golf Channel goes and does the live because it is such a big event. They had the concert yesterday. Like, they know how to do it right over there in Ponte Vedra.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that, just to kind of close this thing out, is that I think there is a world where if you make it that fifth major, it is the most fun major of the group. But I almost wonder, am I crazy to think that, I'd prefer this be a major over the PGA?
PGA Championship, which also prides itself on being the best field in golf. But the PGA, yes, I think Rory talked about it. He said the Players is probably more known, bigger entity right now than the PGA Championship, but it's been that way for so long for the PGA Championship. It's like, that is our major. Those are what history defines as a major.
Yeah.
What makes people sit? Because this course, everything. Because it's the Players, and it's the same every single year. The PGA doesn't have an identity like this one does. So we'll see what happens this weekend. Again, I think we both are on Collin Morikawa to have a good week over there in Ponte Vedra. Scottie Scheffler, though, it's hard not to pick him. We'll see if he can finally dial everything in. The fact we went, a whole 10 or 15 or 20 minutes here on the 3 Putt Podcast and barely mentioned Scottie Scheffler tells you everything you need to know. He's probably going to win this weekend and conquer the Island Green and win his third Players, which for now is still not a major. We'll be back on Monday to wrap it all up and hopefully talking about maybe a Collin Morikawa win for our bank accounts the way we gave you this preview in here. So we'll be back on the 3 Putt Pod.